Hi guys, in this video I will explain how to write a scalar user-defined function in SQL Server with the help of a scenario. If you like to learn more SQL scenarios like this, check out our free SQL course, link provided in description. Let's get started now. So the given requirement for today is we need to verify whether the work orders exceeded the planned cost. For this, we are going to use the table production.work order routing. So this is the table. So let us see the data in this table first. So let me just write a select query. So we have many columns like work order ID, product ID, location ID, and we have this cost columns like plan cost and actual cost. So the requirement is we need to check whether the work orders exceeded the planned cost. So we need only a few columns from this table production dot work order routing. So based on this requirement, we would require the work order column, the cost related columns. Okay. So if you come to this table, the work order related column is work order ID. So this is one of the column we would require in this scenario. And then if you come to the cost related columns, we have two columns. One is plan cost, the another one is actual cost. So these are the two columns we would require for this scenario. So let me just rewrite this select query with only the required columns. So the required column is work order ID, and the cost related columns plan cost and actual cost. You can see the three columns in the output. So we got only the required columns for this scenario. And let's go back to the scenario once again. We need to verify whether the work orders exceeded the planned cost. So we have the planned cost and actual cost. So we need to make sure if this actual cost values are more than this planned cost for any of these work order IDs. So that is the exact requirement. So we have work order ID, plan cost and actual cost. Okay, so we need to make sure if for any of these work order IDs the actual cost is more than the plan cost. So let's see how we can do this with the help of a scalar user defined function. So let us first write a function now. So the syntax for creating a function is create function function name. So I'll give this function name as dbo dot udf calculate cost. So I'm just mentioning it as UDF. So it stands for user defined function. So if you see, this function can accept two parameters. Okay, so if you come to this select query, you can see we have this plan cost and actual cost columns. So using these two columns, we can compute whether the actual cost exceeded the plan cost or not. So we need only these two columns as an input. Okay, so we'll use these two columns as an input to our function dbo.udf calculate cost. So it will accept two parameters. So a scalar user defined function can accept one or more parameters. So in this scenario, we are going to accept two columns. This is plan cost and actual cost as the input parameter. So let us mention the parameters here. So one is going to be the plan cost. And we need to mention the data type of this particular parameter. So if you go to this table, production dot work order routing. And if you go to this columns, plan cost and actual cost, both belong to the data type money. Okay, so for this parameter, we need to mention the data type and it is going to be money because it needs to be same as the column. Okay, so if you come here, the column is plan cost and it belongs to the data type money. So this input parameter also should have the same data type. So likewise, the second parameter is going to be the second column which we are going to pass. So here the second column is actual cost. So let us mention the second parameter. And we need to mention the data type for this particular parameter. So it's going to be money. So I'm just mentioning it. So the next line in creating a function is you need to mention the return data type. So a function is something that accepts an input and returns a value. So that returning value has a data type. So we need to mention in this next line what is the returning data type is going to be. So here the data type which we are going to return is going to be a character. So let's mention character 1. So the returning value is going to be a data type of character 1, and the next line is going to be as, and next we have to start, begin and end, and we will have our SQL statements within this section, begin and end. So this is the syntax for creating a scalar user-defined function. And within this begin and end statement, we need to mention the returning value. So we need to mention it using the keyword return. So the difference here is within this begin and end section, we will mention the value that needs to be written from this function, and the returns here mentions the data type that is going to be returned. So the return here mentions the value that is going to be returned, and this statement mentions the data type of the returned value. So here it's going to be character 1. Okay, so the value that is going to be returned is constructed using a case statement. So I'll show you how we can do that using a case. So a case statement begins with a case and ends with an end keyword. Okay, and the condition here is when this parameter, that is actual cost, is greater than planned cost. Okay, so if you come to this column, you can see planned cost and actual cost. So here, if this actual cost is more than the planned cost, then it means these work orders exceeded the planned cost. So we need to find if this actual cost is greater than the planned cost for any of this work order ID. Okay, so that we can do using a comparison operator within this case statement. So the parameter at actual cost, if it is greater than planned cost, then the value that's going to be returned is Y. So it means yes, the cost got exceeded. If not, we are just going to return no. So we'll just return n. So let me explain this create function once again. So this is called a scalar user-defined function because it can accept one or more input parameters and it returns only one value. So this is a major difference between other user-defined functions in SQL Server. So here in this scalar user-defined function, only one value will be returned. So it will be either y character or either n character, but it can accept one or more parameters. So that's why it's called a scalar user-defined function. So here what we are doing is we are accepting two parameters in this function. These two parameters are nothing but the columns planned cost and actual cost from this table production dot work order routing. Once we accept these two column values, what we will do is we'll do a comparison within the case statement. So the comparison is we are going to see if this actual cost is greater than this planned cost for any of these worker IDs. So if this actual cost is greater than the planned cost, we are going to say yes with the character Y. If this actual cost is not greater than this planned cost, so we are going to mention it's not exceeded using a character N. So that's what we have done in this case statement. When this actual cost input value is greater than the planned cost, then we are going to say yes, it's exceeded using this Y character. If not, we are going to say it is not exceeded using the N character. Now we are going to return either the character Y or N from this function. Okay, so this is the function we are going to create now. So let me just run this, and now you can see the function got created successfully. So this is the name of the function. I'll show you how we can call this function. So let me come back to this original select query. Let me include this newly created function as a new column. So let me just copy the function name. And now to this function, we are going to pass the input parameters. So we are going to pass two input parameters, and this input parameters are nothing but the columns plan cost and actual cost. So let me just pass this column names here. One is going to be the plan cost column, and the second input parameter is going to be the actual cost column. And let me give an alias for this new column. So when I run this one, you can see for each of this actual cost, it's compared with the plan cost, and it mentions whether it exceeded or not. So for each of these records, the actual cost and plan cost value get passed to this scalar user-defined function dbo.udf calculate cost, and then based on the calculation done here, either y or n is returned back. So here, if you take this record, so this value, this actual cost column value will be passed to this function, and it will be compared with this plan cost value. And if it is greater than this plan cost, we will see y. Since it is not greater than the plan cost, we are just seeing the cost exceeded column as n. So in this way, we can write a scalar user-defined function for any scenario. I hope this video helps to understand how to write a scalar user-defined function for any given scenario. Thanks for watching this video.